All market-based investments have substantial and inherent risk with regard to their return on your investment. However, direct participation in oil and gas projects are unique among most investment vehicles. Oil and gas is a commodity traded in the world market. With the growing economies of developing nations such as India and China, the demand for oil and its byproducts should remain high.
People might want to consider investing in oil and gas. Some of the reasons might be the high financial rewards that are available, the possible return of capital in a very short amount of time compared to other investments, investing in an investment that has, very high tax advantages compared to most other investments. It is a commodity like gold and silver. It can be used as a hedge against inflation. That being said, there is a higher degree of risk that goes with investing in oil and gas than there would be in some other types of investment to achieve those higher rewards.
While production of the world's oil supply is scattered around the globe, it is, after all, a finite resource with most of the easy sources already discovered and used up. Further refining limitations keep a lid on supply.
Well, China, India, and the U.S. really are driving what's happening in the consumption of natural resources in general in the world today, oil in particular. In the last decade, the world has increased production from 75 million barrels a day to 85 million barrels a day. 47% of that increase came from China, India, and the U.S., these three countries. So the demands that are being put, particularly China, on the world's resources and on the world's oil resources is huge.
Won't technology fix the supply issue?
There are those who say technology will take care of us. Don't worry about peak oil. We'll get all this technology and figure all this stuff out. I think if we look at the history of U.S. oil production and U.S. gas production, I don't think we find a very comforting scenario about technology taking care of us. Today we're producing 1.5, 1.6 billion barrels a year less than what we were producing in 1970. And we peaked in natural gas production in the United States in 1973. Today we're only producing 89% of that peak. And if you look at the technological advances that have occurred in that period of time, we had bright spot technology in the early 70s where you could actually see gas on seismic. We had massive fracturing technology in the mid-70s. We had coal bed methane in the late 70s. We had 3D seismic in the early 80s. We had horizontal drilling in the mid-80s. We had computer advances like we can't imagine that have occurred in that period of time, the ability to process and all that. We had CO2 flooding in the late 80s, and on and on and on. All of these technological advances, they are a huge leap forward in both natural gas and oil production, but we're still declining in oil.
With a dropping supply and increasing demand, economic theory says that while oil prices may fluctuate based on investor psychology, in the end prices must go up. Further, when you consider that investments you make in American-owned independent oil and gas companies are used to drill for oil and gas on our own soil, and that your investment dollars are used to pay American oil field workers and to buy equipment produced by American workers in American factories, all of which pay taxes and keep our economy productive. All this makes a compelling case that your investment helps fellow Americans while reducing our dependency on foreign oil. Investment in oil and gas, because it remains in our national interest to produce more domestic oil and rely less on imports, continues to experience favorable tax treatment from the government.
Also, gas and oil projects are treated very favorably from a tax perspective. There's depletions allowance that you can go ahead and take for oil that comes out of the ground, which effectively makes your earnings tax-free to a certain extent. If in fact you do hit a dry well, which none of us really likes to do, you get to basically deduct those expenses right out of your taxes, right out of the top.
Packaged together, investing in domestic oil and gas projects present a rather unique and compelling case for your investment dollar.